Recording in progress.
Okay. Islam. Surah An-Nisa, ayat 59. Fourth surah in the Quran. It was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I'm going to read the Arabic. I can read Arabic, but not as smoothly. So we will be here for another half hour or so, 20 minutes maybe. Me trying to read it, pronounce everything, enunciate everything. So I'm going to read the transliteration. Say it out. Ya, ya ayyuhu ladhina amanu ati'u laha wa ati'ur rasula wa ulil amiri minkum fa'in tanazatum bisha'in faruduhu ilallahi wa rasuli in kuntum tu minun billahi wa yawmil akhir zalika khairun wa ashanuta wa ilay. Sorry. I want to ask Ibrahim how was that?
That was good, Sheik. Praise the Lord.
Alhamdulillah. Uh, so Sahih International says, "O you who believe, obey Allah." This is the English. O you who believe, obey Allah, obey the messenger, and those in authority among you. And if you disagree over anything, refer to Allah and the messenger. You should believe in Allah and the last day. This is the best way and best result. Best end result. Yusuf Ali says, "O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the messenger." Of course. And those charged with authority among you. If you differ in anything among yourselves, refer to Allah and His Messenger. If you do believe in Allah on the last day, that is best and most suitable in the final determination. All right, so let's go down a little more because I want to get into what I do. Uh-uh. Okay. So, ooh, that brother Quran jumping in and out. The connection, brother. All right, so what we want to do is I want to get down to the explanation. All right. One, it says, in the Islamic order of life, God alone is the focus of loyalty. A Muslim is the servant of God before anything else. In obedience and loyalty to God it constitute the center and the axis of both the individual and the collective life of a Muslim. Other claims to loyalty and obedience are acceptable only insofar as they remain secondary and subservient, do not compete with those owed to God. All loyalties which may tend to challenge the primacy of man's loyalty to God must be rejected. This has been expressed by the prophet, peace be upon him, in the following words: there may be no obedience to any creature and disobedience to the Creator. You understand? So what happens is Allah is always the primary source. He's the primary authority, he's the head. So what Allah determines, that remains the actual function. That remains the actual pivotal point of our obedience, our loyalty. This creates a society. This is what the Western powers try to eliminate. It create the secular form of government, secular form, because you're only going to be obedient. I mean, your obedience, your loyalty, if it's to your God, then that means no man can really rule over you. Uh, and with the way the United States of America is structured, with religion and the First Amendment, that gives leeway for that to be established amongst the people. So they can't hinder your religious practice. They can't hinder your right to obey Allah. This is why when we back in 2020, when we were issuing out our uh we were issuing out our affidavit to refuse or to decline a vaccination, you know, it was so potent because we quoted stuff like that. We actually put the fact that since God is the rule, religion is the primary, the First Amendment, we can't hinder our right. We have to listen to the authority of what Allah says, you know. And well, if Allah determines that, you know, our bodies are pure and made up, and then, from Him, then we don't. We're not obligated to get any additional assistance, such as a vaccination, for such things, because we know that what was put in those vaccinations were gene altering mechanisms, right? RNA, the mRNA vaccination altered your mRNA. That's against a lot. Uh, that's against you're trying to you're trying to alter the nature of man for some strange reason. So we didn't, we're able to pull that out. So in explaining the verse, it's saying that anytime there's a decree or anything that falls against or goes against your obedience or comes wedges in between your obedience to Allah, you know, then you need to choose Allah over that. Okay? But in that, it gives authority. That verse does give authority to government or to establish a government. Right? We'll focus on that part of it. So those who are placed in authority over you, the entire religious, social, and political structure of Islam. The very first clause of the Constitution of the Islamic State, it lays down the following principles as a permanent guidelines. All right. So even the Constitution of the Islamic State holds to this particular sort of. This is very important because we're talking about authority. And this is good because this is a good intro because in the coming weeks, inshallah, I've been tasked to go over orientation with you more, especially the new ones. So Sister Chandra, Brother Masai, Brother Quran, um, you guys haven't really went over this, but I gotta choose a or, and it might be switching up. Also, uh, my days at work. I usually work nights, but I'm gonna be going to daytime shift. So in the daytime shift, I'll be able to talk about like because when I go to daytime shift, my Wednesdays will be open because I get off at 5, so I'll be able to hold midweek meetings, and I'll so look out for that, and we'll just do the orientation on the midweek because I'll be cool. I won't be able to. I won't be. I won't have to work this day. Um, so I can run the meetings on Wednesday. Uh, we'll focus. Those meetings will be focused on the orientation. They'll be focused on also holding some um, civic lessons. I'll be reaching out to brother Solo, and because he has an actual vocabulary curriculum for civics. I think he has it for finance. His is finance, but he does have some for civics. We'll be working on something for you guys to implement. So we'll have those type of classes going in on Wednesday in the future. So I'll just have to keep you guys updated. And that's going to be happening. It'll be on Wednesdays. I have the classes. And I'll probably eventually open it up to the public so anybody can join in. Let's review this. Let's go through this. I think I'm going to go ahead and there we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So we know the purpose of the organization, more science simple America, along with the newly appointed missions of a commission to help establish a religious and social program that will teach the so-called African American Blacks, Latinos, the identity and religion, history and law, promote the faith of Islam and perspective that relates to our experience of it. All right. This is old, but I put this together before a couple years ago. Organization has been in existence since 1913 as its beginnings as a civic org, and later as a incorporated as 1928 heard by a statute, making the more science simple America a religious nation state. Our objective is to propagate Islamic spirituality through a scientific view, promote and educate our people about their lost Moorish inheritance and socially improve their conditions that stagger our communities' growth. Right? Robert Ali. So let's review this. Um, the seal of the prophet, but not the last. Moorish Quran, chapter 45, says, the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed, like beginning of Muhammad the first, founder of the Uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God Allah. About to Prophet Muhammad, Abu al-Qasim, Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Ab- Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim. Right. That's the actual full name, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's his actual full name as recorded. Well, this is what his name is orderly to be. Born 570 Common Era in Arabia. 610, he received his first revelation, but did not begin teaching publicly until 3 years later. Muhammad continued to gather followers while preaching the oneness of Allah. While going through persecution, Muhammad still was experiencing the revealing of this great revelation, which was compiled into a book we know today as the Quran. Muhammad spoke the man returning to the original practice of the ancient forefathers, which was Islam. Prophet Muhammad, Katamaniba Nabiya, in 623, Prophet Muhammad passed form. To the Moorish Americans, Prophet Muhammad was our great leader and was the reincarnation of Jesus. Reference questionnaire P81. We believe that our founder, Prophet Noble Ali, is in line of that succession and is continuing the same great work propagated by Jesus and Muhammad. May Allah bless them sinners. It is believed by the majority of the great Ummah in the Islamic scholarship, Prophet Muhammad is considered the last and final prophet. Surah 3340 is the most referenced to help confirm this idea, but we must examine the backdrop of the surah. Okay, so this is very pivotal because you're being a Moorish American, we are at scholastic odds and religious, yet theological odds with most of the Ummah regarding this matter of prophethood. And and this goes in line with authority because what happens is the authority always get questioned with certain points that may not line up with what people are known or accept to be. So Noble Ali being a prophet, a lot of people question that, like, oh well, especially in Islam, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? So let's get to the situation. Because I think everybody should be able, when you're joining an organization, you should be able to explain. And one thing in the past, a lot of Moors and Grand Sheiks, they could not explain it. So they rejected Islam. They rejected Muhammad, even though Muhammad is widely mentioned throughout our documents. This is crazy. So, but because they couldn't explain it, they like, they didn't want to deal with it. So, Surah 33:37. Behold, thou didst say to one who have received the grace of Allah in thy favor, obtain thou and thy wife, fear Allah. Thou didst hide in the heart that which Allah was about to make manifest. Thou didst fear the people, but it is more fitting that thou should fear Allah. Then when Zaid uh, had a dissolve with her, talking about Zainab, his wife, dissolve mean divorce, with her with necessary formality, basically by the law. They followed the process. Divorce. We join her in marriage with thee, in order that future that may be no difficulty to the believers in the matter of marriage with the wives of their adopted sons when the latter have dissolved necessary formality, their marriage by command must be fulfilled. So I'm gonna go in here. Oops. What was it? Ah, it didn't connect. Go back. All right. Said it's important that we look at notes 320, 3722 and 3723. There you go. This is the commentary notes. This was Zaid's son, Haritha, one of the first to accept faith Islam. He was a free man, a holy prophet, who loved him as a son and gave him in marriage his own cousin, Zainab. The marriage, however, turned out to be unhappy. Zaid's marriage with the prophet's cousin, Zainab's daughter, Jas, did not turn out happy. Zainab, the highborn, looked down on Zaid, free man, who had been a slave. He was not commonly to look at. Basically, he wasn't a handsome guy. Both were good people in their own way, and both loved the prophet, but there was mutual incompatibility. And this is fatal in married life. Zaid wished to divorce her, but the prophet asked him to hold his hand, and he obeyed. She was closely related to the prophet, and he had given a handsome marriage gift to her marriage to Zaid. The people would certainly talk that such a marriage was broken off. But marriages are made on earth, not in heaven. And it is not part of Allah's plan to torture people in a bond which should be a source of happiness, but actually is a source of misery. Zaid's wish, indeed, the mutual wish of the couple was for the time being but away, but it became eventually an established fact that everybody came to know it. So basically, Zaid was so close to Prophet Muhammad, he was considered his son, like a son. Wasn't his son, but he was just the relationship was that close. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, felt favored, so he with Zaid and he allowed him to marry his cousin Zainab. Zainab was of a high class, just like Prophet Muhammad was, and she did not necessarily find Zayd to be attractive, nor on her level. So it caused friction. Zayd didn't like it. Zayd was like, okay, well, I'd rather just divorce her and get it over. Our mom was like, oh, wait, hold on. You know, don't give up. Blah, blah, blah. But eventually they came to an end. The marriage had to come to an end. So Prophet Muhammad ended up marrying Zaynab. He ended up marrying Zaynab. And this caused a stir amongst the people. And because there's a rule that you cannot, the father of his son, can never marry the son's wife when the son got divorced. It's a rule. So they're talking and they're questioning Prophet, right? Prophet Muhammad. So here comes the famous verse, Surah 33, Ayah 40. Muhammad is not the father of any of you men, but he is the apostle of Allah, the seal of the prophets. And Allah has full knowledge of all things, right? This is where it comes in. So now when you believe and you look at it, they're questioning him, questioning Prophet Muhammad. So Muhammad is revealing this verse comes from Allah. Muhammad is not the father of any human. It cancel out the relationship with Zaid. Cancel out the idea that they think that that's his son. That's not his son. He's not the father of any human. The possible law and the seal of the prophets. Because most likely they were questioning whether he was a prophet at all. He's the seal of the prophets. Means he is the authority, authentication of the prophets. Right? And Allah has full knowledge of all things. So when people say, well, that seal means last, no, it's kata nebia means seal, not last. It's the authority, seal as far as stamp of seal approval. So three tasks of prophet or messenger. These are three things that usually a prophet brings. He brings a reading, he brings verification, and he brings law. Prophet Noble Ali brought a reading, he brought purification, because he was a healer, and he brought law. He brought law. You know? New era time. Born Thomas Drew on 8. Well, you basically know this. I really got to go through that. Obviously, all that's on the website. I want to actually get through this. All right. So this is a census from 1901. Right. I'm trying to get you guys to understand authority of where we're at and where you're at, because you got your paperwork now, right? So you get to understand what this is. So this is a census from 1901. I'm going to show you where the prophet is on this. This is in Norfolk, Virginia. He was adopted. So we got James Drew, that's the head. Lucille here. Ada. I don't know. I can't make that name out there. But it's basically daughters. It's the wife. It's the head. It's Thomas Drew, adopted son. It's his adopted son, right? And you got male, female, 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 male. His birthday, January 1886. There goes a birth. He was born. These are the younger sisters. They're pretty young themselves. Born 1860, 1863. And he was 14 at the time. Uh, so this is his family he grew up with in Norfolk, Virginia. He was born in North Carolina, but unknown or who his parents were, he was adopted and he was raised in Norfolk, Virginia, which is basically next to North Carolina. It's like near the border of North Carolina. All right, parents of the prophet or not? There's a lot of rumors in the past 20 years coming about and said that these were the prophet's parents. Basically, people were not educated and just want to be the first ones to be on, to say they know something. And a lot of that comes from the Washita movement. They're trying to legitimize themselves through the more science of America. And basically, there's no significant connection between Noble Drew Ali or the Washita Nation at all. Are these parents of the prophet? Many Moors from outside the movement, especially uh those be within the conscious circles, have circulated these two individuals as being the parents of the prophet Noble Drew Ali. This had spawned many ideologies leading to connection with the Washita and others leaching of really supposed to be off the prophet's teachings and the movement. Why such an analogy? Because they contributed very little to the divine plan of the ages. Asia is searching for a genuine connection, like you guys here, genuine connection, and teaching are distracted by such falsehood and lead in the wrong direction. So it's very important that we clarify this because this stuff gets everyone confused. So the fact that this guy, first of all, John Drew, he led a regiment of Mount Rifles, which was considered the Cherokee members. John Drew fought in the Civil War on the side of the Confederates. John Drew was a plantation owner. John Drew was born in 1796 and died on August 25th, 1865. Basically, he died uh, 21 years before the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born. So I don't think they had cryogenetic freezing back then. They wasn't, unless, you know, this man preserved his semen in a turkey baster. And there's no way this man is the prophet's father. So, Ali Muhammad was pushing that, actually. For those who know who that is, he was pushing this idea, him and others, and so definitely proven wrong. That's to see. I'm gonna skip up. When was the MSTofA founded? Where? 1913 AD. The prophet was a head teacher of the old Canaanite temple. Okay, so now we're going to get into certain things when regarding the Canaanite temple. So you understand when it says founded, it means that the concepts of the temple, the, the foundational teachings in them meeting started in 1913. It wasn't officially the marquee title wasn't more Science of America, but when you found something, when something is founded, that means the foundation started and it grew into something else. You could found something could be founded, like an organization could be founded, and it might not even have the name at that time, but that's when you found it. You started it. You got the wheels going in motion. So as you see, 181 Warren Street meetings were held on top of Dixon's barbershop. One day we'll go to North and we'll find that out. I had to throw this one in. Let's deal with Dorman because Dorman still believes that people more think that this guy information has some type of validity, but it doesn't. Walter Brister is believed to be Prophet Noble Trolley, and it's believed that he was going back and forth with these identities. Walter Brister was a magician, circus worker. He was famous. Now, in a statement off a website with Patrick Dorman, this guy, he says it is said that Thomas or Timothy Drew started the Canaanite Temple in Newark, New Jersey, in 1913. Although I have not seen any written documentation of that date. Um, the tale takes another twist, however, in 1914, when the same newspaper reported that Princess Sotaki Tanki rushed to her husband Walter Brister's bedside and nursed him until he died. Walter Brister, cornet player, died Wednesday 8th at his residence at 3532 Federal Street after an illness. His wife, Princess Sotanki, the Oriental dancer and snake charmer, on hearing of her husband's illness, hurried to his bedside from Indianapolis, where she had been appearing, and nursed him until he died. Okay. So she ran over to Indianapolis to help this guy, Walter Brister. Walter Brister is said to die in 1914. All right. So the prophet had already established, or he helped establish, Canaanite Temple in 1913. So the prophet was already alive. Not alive, but he was already in business running this, help running this organization. Here's an interview. This is what Norman does not have. He doesn't have this interview by uh, the last surviving member of the old Canaanites. This interview was done in 1981. The interview was done with Mr. Walker, the last remaining member of the old Canaanite temple in North. During the interview, Mr. Walker gives an idea of the living conditions of the time. According to his account, the work was scarce. Both Walker and the prophet worked for Western Electric. The temple was a meeting place for the Masons and the Odd Fellows who were seeking to start their own society. Mr. Walker continues his account. It was asked in the interview, was the prophet who was called Drew the head of the old Canaanite temple? Walker would answer yes, that the prophet was the head, and Dixon, who owned the barbershop, was next in leadership. This confirms to the Moorish questionnaire, key 10, although under a different name, the foundation was laid. So the prophet was the head of that temple. So people, it was also asked what were the things Drew would preach. Walker will reply, he had a Bible. He preached that we came from the Holy Land of Canaan. We were a holy people, and we was not Negroes, colored folks, or Christianity was not the religion of our people. We were not Christian, but Muslim. Yeah, they sit back there, Muslim. Later in the interview, Walker would explain that Drew was removed from his position of leadership by Dixon and others who did not agree with him promoting Islam and not Christianity. Now, why is that key? That's key because some people will say that prophets study under this man and that his Canaanite temple was kind of like another chapter of this man's Canaanite temple, right? A deeper look at what the prophet in the Canaanite temple uh, in order to join, one had to convert to Islam. Right. So, in order to join Dr. Abdul Hamid Suleiman's Canaanite temple, you had to convert to Islam. You had to convert to Islam. So, if that was true, then why would there be a disagreement with the prophet promoting Islam in the Canaanites? Why would there be a disagreement? Because in order for you to be in the Canaanite temple under Dr. Abdul Hamid Suleiman, you had to convert to Islam. You had to convert. So what does this prove? This proves that this is two separate Canaanite temples. Two separate Canaanite temples. Because in order for you to join, you had to be a Muslim. So Dixon and all the others, they had no right to really push the prophet out because that would have been against the tenets of Canaanitism. Highly ranking Masons. So this is Abdul Hamid of Egypt. Supposedly he claimed to be a high ranking Mason. This is an article where he was at a meeting with high ranking personalities. Harry Knight himself, Shriner, among others, party with worshipful Grandmaster David W. Parker, Grand Worthy Secretary, author A. Schomburg. That's all. The Schomburg from the Schomburg Museum. He was there. Deuce Muhammad Ali Effendi, a countryman and guest of honor, and John Edward Bruce, contributing editor of the Negro World, the editor of the Masonic Quarterly Review, and Dr. Abdul Hamid's private secretary brother, Clarence King. All right, so basically, this is the type of people that Abdul Halim Solomon had. Remember, but there's an article I have. I gotta find it where Abdul basically he was exposed as a fraud. He was actually from the South and not from Sudan or Egypt. So here we go. This is the prophet promoting his business. This is definitely around the time. So he's Professor Drew, the Egyptian student, adept student, where he's having his meetings. This is the articles he wrote on health. The prophet was arrested in 1923 in New York Prophet was arrested in New York for selling his healing orbs and oils. It could be said that the combination loosened the head, a position of the Canaanite temple, constant run in the law. Prophet would have been led to migrate to a place where his message would be more accepted. So 1925, this is in Chicago, Illinois. Reference the Moorish Guide, Moorish Lee's historical message. We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state. Here it is. Here's our first. Uh, here's the application. Set this for the civic organization. There's more of it here. This is just to expose a certain part where the prophet says, where it say, why did he write his name as Alim and not Ali? All right. Many unstudied people who associate with the Moorish divine movement believe that this was a forgery or a typo. But with the trained mind and the insight, one can understand that the prophet was demonstrating a degree of man to manifest particular intent and energy. Alim is known to be a derivative of the name Ali. It carries the meaning light bearer in both Arabic and Hindu language. Light bearer can be found in Moore's Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 16, or revealers of the light. But in order to uh, receive, you must have the light. In order to receive the light, you must have the light. So you must be a light bearer. So it's the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. It's the first constitution, bylaws, made 1928. The name changed. Questionnaire sold by R.V. Bay Publication has Moorish Holy Temple of Science switched as the Moorish Science Temple of America. They failed to be informed that via the prophet's literature regarding the name change that occurred, the name Moorish Science Temple the name Moorish Temple of Science changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America, made 1928, in accordance to the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Law. 1928 Pan American Conference. See the name Raleigh here. So Pan American Conference, International Law Two-Lane Review, 501 to 502. The status and capacity of a person governed in a general by the personal law. This law applies likewise to the determination of majority. Each contracting state is free to apply as personal law either the law of domicile or the law of nationality. Personal law governs capacity without confidence. Without reference to the subject matter to which may relate, including dispositions of real property, either inter vivos or under death. So it deals with private international law, which our issue of nationality falls under. Because we were second class citizens, our nationality was taken. Even though well, now we're created as Americans, recreated as American citizens through the 14th Amendment, we still didn't have the proper status. So the prophet went down here to the Pan American Conference. Now, mind you, this is 1928, but it was prior to him filing the affidavit to make us a religious corporation. So law, nationality, or nationality law, or citizen law is the law of a sovereign state in of each of its jurisdictions It defines the rights and obligations of citizenship within the jurisdiction, as well as the manner in which citizenship is acquired and how it may be lost. A person who is in a country in which they are not a citizen of is generally regarded by that country as a foreigner or alien. A person who has no recognized nationality or citizenship to any jurisdiction is regarded as stateless. So technically, in some late manners, we were stateless people in the United States because we didn't necessarily have a recognized identity and and so forth. So when we the argument is okay, so what an argument, but the premise is that when we go by black, Negro, colored, those names, that still puts us in a stateless position because those names allude to slavery, giving us limited power as a people. So it's like you're calling yourself the labels that you were, that you had on you during slavery. So you're going to be recognized as that, for those who know. Now, some people look at it as, okay, the black man, oh, she's black, he's black, color of your skin, you're black. You know, During modern times, but still, even in law, because when you step into a courtroom, you're stepping into a different society almost with a language, even though the language is English, the way it's orated, and it has other meanings to it. So you calling yourself black in that capacity, a legal capacity, in a society capacity, yeah, it can render you very, very much so hard complications. You know what I'm saying? So creating it yourself, or identifying yourself with a proper identity is very key. Birth of our nation. Since the work on the Moore side Super America was largely religious, the organization has been legally changed to a religious corporation. And an affidavit of this effect has been properly filed in Cook County Recorder's Office of Illinois. Body politic. Simple affidavit placed this organization under Ernst Smith's by statute, giving it a home rule authority. Black Laws Dictionary defines as in a constitutional statutory law, local self-government and right thereof. Also, placing the MSTofA under the Religious Act of 1872, creating a body politic or state nation. Social compact is a body politic by which people covenants with each citizen with the whole people, that all shall be governed by the certain laws for the common good, state or nation or public association. Now, look, here's the key. Each citizen with the whole people, it's the individual, me and you, individual, Talika or Sister Sandra, who as an individual, right? Or Brother Messiah as an individual, Brother Yah as an individual, Ibrahim as an individual, Brother Quran as an individual, Brother Yahshua as an individual, so on, along with the people, along with the other members of the Moore Side. And we agreed, we read the divine constitution bylaws every meeting. The additional laws, whenever I get my what's it called? But the additional laws, right? And any other laws, we agreed that these are going to be the governing laws. What it says, the Grand Sheik and Chairman is a power to make law, enforce law. The sisters of the prophet and the grand body and the more science of right? It says that. We agree on that. When you signed up for this stuff for here, and you did your application online, it asked you if you or if you agree with the divine constitution bylaws. It asked you, and you agree. So here we go. Each citizen with the whole people that all shall be governed by certain laws for the common good. That we agreed that these laws were going to govern us for the common good. This is a body politic. Coming together under these laws to be governed. This makes us a body politic by definition. It goes back to Surah Nisa, right? Ayah 59, right? The only you obey, right? Obey Allah and His Messenger, and those who put in authority above you, over you, right? So we believe that the Grand Sheikh Chairman is empowered to make law and enforce law. We agreed upon it. This is basically alignment. This what creates us as a society, as a jural society, a body politic state in its essence. Of course, they wanted to put some more legwork in, but for the most part, we got it down. Right? Car would change in your pocket overnight. First annual convention. Prophet said the flag is of her toward the Moorish flag. Okay, so let's explain this. For the first convention, in the Adab meeting, Prophet took the flag, the Moorish flag, he wrapped it around a little girl, and he took the American flag. Girl was named Sister Grace Barriel, and the brother was Morris L. And he wrapped the American flag around the young man, the young boy. He said this: the flag is of her, and the land is of him. This day, we have taken the first step towards full recognition of who we are as a nation. Remember this day and pass it on to your great grandsons and daughters. So, Lomas Bay is removed to take over leadership. All right, so I'm going over certain some of these here. Going over the split, what happened. Let me go back. So you understand, we got a prophet, got Springer Sheet Milieu. Then you have Lomax Bay. Lomax Bay is on the side right here. Lomax Bay. His hand over here. Now, Lomax Bay is removed for attempting to take over as leader. That's Lomax Bay right there. And here he is right here. He's known as Sheikh Azadin later on in life. Many Sunni Muslims and many are offspring or are connected to him in the society. When he came back, he started promoting more of a Sunni Islamic perspective when he came back from Turkey. ADAP's under the leaders of Lomax. Lomax Bay was a bad man. Like he was on fire. Like, he was that guy. Like he had charismatic. He would win people over. That's why the prophet sent him to Detroit. Detroit wasn't doing good. He sent him to Detroit. He got it. He got Detroit straight. He got all these different people lined up, and this is where Elijah Poole, you know what I'm saying? E. Poole Bay right here. Oh no, Robert Poole. Robert Poole becomes that. Right. You know, there's Elijah Muhammad. He was under Lomax Bay. Claude Green later on. This all happens in the same year, like in the same time frame. Like after this convention, all this funky stuff started happening. Like it's crazy. Brother Green Bay quits business manager post. Although the title alludes to Claude Green quitting position, there was an underlying attempt to clean the movement from those who applied to overthrow the prophet. Right? So you get this: Claude Green quits his post Coleraine requests to still remain a member. Aaron Payne replaces his position. Aaron Payne places him as the business manager. FBI file. This is when Coleraine attempted to wrestle the organization away. The Prophet was taken over from the Prophet by taking over the finance of the Moorish guide. Um, Jewish leadership was contested in 1929. He began embroiled uh, in the quarrel with Claude Green, politician and former butler Julius Rosenwald, who previously had joined the temple. One day, Drew arrived at his office and found Green had moved all his furniture outside, declared himself the Grand Sheik. A civil war ensued and fashioned uh, enlisting support from temples and other cities. Green was shot and stabbed to death in his office at the city club on the night of March 15th. While he arrested as he sat with his wife and group of followers celebrating authorities charged the murder of his rival and was defended by attorney Aaron Payne and William L. Dawson. William L. Dawson. Temple members were later gained political prominence. So William L. Dawson and Aaron Payne are famous people in the area of law in Chicago, and they gained prominence after the movement. Prophet from prison issued a message to his flock. To the heads of all temples, Islam, I, your prophet, do hereby and now write you a letter as a warning and appeal to your good judgment for the present and the future. Though I am now in custody, you in a cause it is all right and it is all well for all who believe in me and my Father God. I have redeemed all you, and you shall be saved, all you, even with me. I go to bat Monday, May 20th, before the grand jury. If you are with me, be there. Hold on and keep faith. Great and great shall be your reward. Remember, my laws and love ye one another. Prefer not a stranger to your brother. Love and truth, and my peace, I leave all. Peace from your prophet. That's why he was in prison. He wrote this. Right? Claude Green declares himself leader with a title, uh, let's see and give himself. Right? I just threw that in there. It's the funeral of the prophet after he passed. This is dealing with his death because his death certificate says tuberculosis. It's kind of peculiar that happened because he has teas that can cure tuberculosis. So I'm trying to question how is that he died of tuberculosis. Elected politicians. This is some of the things we did at the time. Active we were. Jesse Binger, owner of the Binger Bank. Oscar DePriest. These are some of the prominent. These are listed the temples that were active at the time. Brother Emilio. This is a letter of his advancement. So Emilio, own words, I joined movement on January 1st, 1927. And on June 1st, 1927, I was approved and appointed by the Prophet Noble Ali as the first assistant chairman of the Moorish Science. On the 1st of August of the same year, I received appointment from the Prophet as general chairman. of the said Moorside Supreme was made Grand Sheik under the Prophet. In February 1928, I wrote insurance for the Prophet in the year 1928. And at the close of the said year, in the first annual convention, the Divine Prophet, Awad Ali, promoted me to the office and rank of Supreme Grand Sheik. This promotion by the Prophet took place in the first setting of the Supreme Grand Council, representing the Moorish Science of America. In a public meeting at 3140 Indiana Avenue, in the month of November 1928, Prophet made it very plain in three statements that he was the Supreme Grand Head, and Brother Miliel was Supreme Grand Sheik next to me, Prophet. And it means all temples in the government, and that there is but one more science simple America. And that is mine, Drali. At the official meeting in February 1929, I was made shepherd of his flock by him and was told by him to feed his lambs and his sheep. Okay, so look, here's another thing for dealing with authority. You got to understand who we are standing right now. Emilio is saying in his letter his advancement, right? And making it plain and clear that he was next to the prophet, right? That means that the prophet was the head, and right next to side to me, not saying it was equal, but it was saying that this is my right hand person next to me. All temples and government, he basically put him over all the temples. So when and you want to keep this note, you want to note this, yeah, because this is very pivotal. So people be like, oh, why? Well, oh, personality worship, we worshiping, oh, you know, prophet and Allah, not Emilio, and this and that. And that. No, Emilio is very important because in the words of the prophet, put Emilio as the second head or right next to him. So that means that he's the marker. That means when the prophet ain't around, Emilio's it. That's why all roads, Emilio stands in the path. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like, and I want to use this as an example, but if you look at it as a Shiite or just people who say when you're dealing with Prophet Muhammad said, you know, I think Muhammad is the city and Ali is the gate, right? It's the same in nature as Emilio is the gate. He was to provide, he was to look over the organization. So anyone else who's claiming that, you know, that's not what the prophet ordered. It's out of law. So the authority is not with them, right? So let's deal with the little splits here. While Amelia was visiting temples, Kurtman Bay was inserted onto the second convention program with unauthorized titles, Supreme Grand Advisor. Amelia addressed this matter in a letter. Right? Basically cleared that up. What you look at here is looking at the second convention, and you got Kurtman Bay as the Supreme Grand Advisor, right? Emilio never approved that. That was never approved. They slipped that on there while he was gone. So here's the corrective. You look at this one, I'm going to find Supreme Grand Advisor. Well, you find it right here, Supreme Grand Advisor right here. Sorry. Find Supreme Grand Advisor right there. But there's a corrected one when they corrected it, and they actually struck that out. Letter from Emilio to Crumby Bay. I'm going to just read this paragraph. I was on my way around to visit Prophet's temples in August 1929. Herman Bay was made Supreme Advisor by a group of members secretly, and kept secret, knowing to me what was on till we were ready to transact our regular business and convention. Then they sprang this trick of making Kirkman the head of the organization, which in direct violation of the prophet's law. This is what he was telling Crumbie Bay. Now, I only listed a few names that are very important here. Third convention, this was confirmed. The convention immediately revoked credentials of Crumbie Bay. The revocation was confirmed. The decision was made at the second convention. Hartman Bay and the company never showed up for neither the second or the third convention. Some of the names listed, some of them are C. Kirkman Bay, Doveville, Whitehead Bay, Blakely Bay, Nelson L., Charles Bay, Foreman Bay, Shelby L., and the Cook Bay brothers. These are pivotal. And the reason why I brought these out, I listed these out of this list because a lot of people pivot their authority after the Cook Bay brothers. Oh, I met the Cook Bay brothers. They gave me da 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 da. All right, cool. Well, I'm on the Shelby Hill. Okay, cool. I'm on the Foreman Bay. All right, that's nice. But this right here is this is taking away their credentials. Emilio revoked their credentials. So they didn't have no right to give you anything. No authority on the Moore side. So right? This is the ninth annual convention. This is why I showed this because I want to show that you can see uh old Lewis L. Who else is there? This is good. Um, yeah. Okay, so here's Curtin Bay. All right, you go into our website. Our website. We have a list of our leadership and our lineage. Moore's L is there, but Moore's L ended up leaving. Right, he ended up leaving and going over to the Curtin Bay, but he did it so sneakily, like very underhanding, that he tried to bring the whole temple under C. Kirkman Bay at their convention. Yeah. Yeah. Murky area of the movement. Let me just go back. Federal Writers Project. You will never return back. Now, this is where it gets juicy. The temple after Emilio, the location and the main base operations was Foster's Hall, State Street, right? That's where it was. So you got the Writers Project is a project of at the time in the 30s, in the 40s, people, independent writers and investigators needed money. We're talking about the Depression. So federal government hired them to go and infiltrate these organizations and just report back. So the Federal Writers Project is what a lot of certain people like, not Dorman, but what's the other writer? Um Jacob Dorman, but other writers who wrote about the Moorish Science of America, a lot of times they'll get their information from the Federal Writers Project. So the Federal Writers Project actually covers a lot of the murky area of the movement. Second, okay, so basically it talks about Millie, Millie, the found the Foster's Hall group. So this is the perspective of the writer. This is not what we know. Because once you understand the information and you begin to get into this history of the movement, you'll understand what's going on. And this only brings validity to certain things that we already suspect. But this narrative is from the perspective of the writer. So he's going to say the Foster Hall group. He's going to say this is the group, this is the group. He's not giving. He's coming from an objective perspective, you know. So Milieu, really to found the Foster's Hall group, 44th State Street, and Kurtman, the group at 1314 Clybourne Avenue. Milieu has since died, but his wife still a member of the 44th Estate, right? It's where this is the confusing paragraphs because he's not connecting, he's just writing. It appeared two new groups, one 40th between Benjamin Means and South Parkway, founded by Gibbons Hill, a formerly chauffeur to the prophet and inmate of the homeopathic hospital for some time after the prophet's death. His reincarnation story says Rhodes is but another of his many delusions. So this is coming from T. Rose. T. Rose is another person who was removed as well, but he had his own temple after a lot of those who were removed on that list. He ended up just going ahead starting their own temple, right? Second was J. Warnell group, which meets at the Old Owl Theater Auditorium. Walton, who during the prophet's life, but time was not even a sheep, and thus ineligible to run for grand sheikhood, had his own members elect him to the office of, in much of the time fashion of the Curtin Bay, and his after his final split with Rhodes. Let me see, I'm sorry. In the time fashion office in much same fashion as Curtin Bay. And had his own had his due after his final split. Rhodes, neither, however, elected by the General Conclave, which, according to the Constitution, is the only way the sheep may become Grand Sheep. All right, so the Curtin Bay, T. Rhodes split with Curtin Bay. Right, and this is basically Rhodes. They're getting information from Rhodes. Right. So this is how they're basically determining what who's who. T. Rhodes L, a former sheep, was giving this information to the writer. So they're explaining who Jay Walnell is. They said Jay Walnell just was self-appointed, which wasn't true because we're going to show you the evidence of his appointment. So here we go. The Christian Secretary Gibbons, Christina T. Rhodes' daughter is Christina Rhodes, who is Christina Price Bay. That's uh, his daughter. So, or all present groups, however, Jay Walton's is by far the most powerful. It was to support Aaron Payne, who no doubt put Walton up to the shrewd move of having organization reincorporated as a nonprofit taking corporation, thus giving it a legal status. This was the original form it had under the prophet, who used the state seal to lure. So this is what they say was the prophet. Coup d'etat, they say T Wall now is J Wall now. Friday, January 6th, J. Grand Shoot. The Out Theater delivered a master stroke of uh, legalistic trickery. See, they use the words to his opponents by invitation. Most of the important members of the Cottage Grove group were present, and as the event later proved, they were invited solely for the purpose of being put in their place by the Grand Sheik. Okay, so basically, They're talking about the appointment. So the first time Jay Walton officially came before the national organization was when his name was presented before the convention on charges of disorderly conduct. So now I want to get to what happened with Jay Walton and how and why he became our Grand Sheikah chairman. Time because Morris L was acting a fool, despite what they're saying. So the first time Jay Walton officially came before the national organization was when his name was presented before the convention on charges of disorderly conduct, referred by W. Morris L., duly elected Grand Sheik and leader of Temple One in state of Illinois, of which Jay Walton L. was a member. At the convention, C. Kermit Bay uh, permitted, permitted certain members of this Temple Number One on the ground that they were insubordinate and would not cooperate with the national group. Why would they? They're not. Why would they cooperate? You guys are not national group. But here we go. E. Turner statement. This is a clip from a statement given by E. Turner L. In the statement, he indicates that at the Ninth Kirtland Bay Convention, members of Temple One were reprimanded for being insubordinate to the leadership of Temple Number One. Of course, they would. Selena Turner L. F. Turner L's wife, Selena Turner L., served as secretary of the Ninth Convention and convention of the Kirtland Bay Group in September 1936. Selena Turner L., residing in 3040 Hancock Street, Brooklyn, New York, being duly sworn, deposes and says, I am the wife of F. Turner L. That as a secretary of number 23, I attended the ninth annual convention held in the city of Chicago at 1314 North Clybourne Avenue in September 1520. I think that's it. Remember, it's mentioned Clybourne, where Kirtland Bay was. That as secretary, it was my duty to transcribe minutes of the convention. And for the purpose of reporting back to my temple, pursuant of the such duty, I took minutes of the convention. And I can say of my own personal knowledge that at this convention, Brother W. Morris L., right, it won't became I prefer a grand sheet, a Temple One preferred charges against Brother J. Walton L., a member of the same temple, on the ground that the said J. Walton L. refused to cooperate with and to respect the instructions of the said grand sheet. And that during the course of the argument, the said J. Walton L. pulled a knife out of his pocket and stated that he was not afraid. In the course of the argument, J. Walton L. pulled out a pocket knife. I pulled out a knife out of his pocket and stated that he was not afraid of anyone. So why would J. Walton L. pull a knife out at the convention? Because he knew it was some stuff. Like it was, he was, they weren't supposed to be there. And he was like, what's going on? I'm not complying with you. You're not, no, right? So we had a convention, first convention. This is in the case, 1938 case with F. Turner L. E. Turner L. Got Morris L. listed as Supreme Grand Sheik. And they messed up right there. They tried to scratch that out, but they ended up telling on themselves. So here's a letter. Fucking large. All right, let me enlarge this. Little Bay, right? State Street, South State Street. You are hereby notified that all on the night of Tuesday, December 8th, 1926, 8 p.m. That might be a typo. It should be 36. 1936, there shall be a meeting of Temple One of the Moore Science Temple America at Elks Rest, 3672 Michigan Boulevard, for the purpose of reorganizing Temple One of the Moore Science Temple America. The said reorganization meeting, he's sending out letters to all the members, fighting them to come out because now they're going to get it straight. Because Morris L was trying to slide everything under Curtin Bay's control. Jay Wardell is now like, nah, we're going to reorganize this thing. Like, well, see if I can. We're almost done. So, just want to show you. This is what I went over during the convention, so you guys get an understanding. Now, Sheiks and Sheikesses, members of the Moore Science Simple America, is another letter by Jay Wardell. Time has arrived that we shall open our meeting. We will have a temporary chairman for the night, and I motion that Brother Kimbrough L, acting chairman of the night, be acting chairman of the night. Motion was duly second. Brother Kimbrough, unanimously elected chairman temporarily for the night. Following the election, Brother Kimbrough, the members sang to him, I'm going through until I ask Constitution X. Follow. Let's see. We have called you under the law to stop confusion. We have called you to unite in peace. We have asked you all to come together and choose one of your chiefs, grand sheet of the temple number one. Therefore, we call upon you in the name of Obudru Ali and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Do that which we should do. It was moved and second by the Washington Hill, making the motion. Brother J. Crawford Bay, second. Brother J. Walton be Grand Sheik. Brother J. Walton was unanimously elected. Listen, unanimously elected. Right? Only 21 members voted, raising their hand. It was moved and seconded. J. Crawford Bay making the motion. Brother Ivy Bay seconded, saying, Brother Henry Crumwell be chairman of the Moore Science Simple One of America. Brother J. Crawford Bay moved that the nomination for the chairman be closed. Brother Ivy Bay seconded the motion. Brother Crumwell was unanimously elected chairman of the Moore Science number one. Let's put it in state. This is another one. Andre will solemnly swear that at a meeting of the members of Moore Science America, J. Walnell, Grand Sheik, to one, criminal chairman of Moore Science One, according to the rules, uses of Moore Science. So this is happening. This another one. I'm trying to get to the part where I want to show you the words of. I did this already. All right, so it says, sisters and brothers, sheiks and sheikesses, this is our purpose out here tonight. We should like of each and everyone to pay strict attention to this meeting, just as the great American nation, English speaking people, sprang from a desire of Early colonists to have peace, freedom, and justice for themselves. So came unto the beginning the grand war-sized simple America, just at the strength and greatness of this country depends upon the union of the states under the law, so does the continuance greatness of the more science of America depend on perfect union of its many temples under the law of the prophet. Without this perfect union of the United States under the law, which I learned this lesson from the bloody Civil War, it, it is even more so with more science of America. Talking about the unity is him sending this out to all, basically all the temples that left. Uh, key right here. You know, he's claiming to succeed, claim to succeed the true prophet and are tried to gather about themselves the robe that was his. Right, we're talking about those who try to succeed. Our temple has fallen into this uh, dir, uh, dir, direct dispute. And that's that word. Okay. Our membership scattered and discouraged. Our people stumbling and blundering in darkness of confusion. Understand clearly, listen carefully. We who have called you here to assemble have called you not seeking greatness, nor to assume control for ourselves. We have called you for the purpose of reestablishing and reaffirming the teaching of our departed Prophet Noble Drop. Right. So we have called you under the law to stop confusion. We have called you to unite in peace. We have asked you all come together to choose from one of your sheets and grand sheets. And we read this before, simple one, but he says we sat to one under the Constitution and additional laws of the West Side Civil America. In the laws of the state of Illinois, there can be but one temple. Number one, we we intend that there shall be but one. There has been meetings with other temples. So in general conclave from year to year, this must likewise be done. Each you who have present tonight, remember the greatness that was once ours. You remember when thousands came to our meetings. You recall how fallen humanity was, fallen humanity was elevated. You know that we are taught to work and live so that peace, true freedom, and justice might come to this troubled world. We have not done this. We have been at odds with each other. He's speaking truth. He's describing the situation. Yeah. This truthful one other, we have not sought freedom and justice from our people. We have not loved one another. Our our sick have not been well waited upon, or our Families of our dead have gone without the comfort of our help. This is stuff that we're supposed to be providing. We call upon you in the name of noble Drali, love, true peace, freedom, justice, to do which we should do, right? So basically, what we're looking at is a call to action by whether J. Walton L. and Company. It was moved, and this is basically the minutes. And it's a complaint by, I ain't gonna go into that right there. It was moved that J. Walton L. Julie second by Sister Webster L. that the election be closed. He said I'm posted, and so basically they sent this out. Note that the meeting was served by registered mail upon Brother Kurtman L., supposed to be Kurtman Bay, Shelby L., Sister Mealy L., Brother Givens L. So basically, they were sent notice. Even Sister Mealy L. was sent a notice to let her know that this is where we're doing. Now, she wasn't a sheikess. She's not a sheikess, but she was given notice. Now, try to go to the where this is right here. J105, the head of MSTofA by the Secretary of State. This is key right here. So basically, J. Walton L., Secretary of State, he was the head of the civic organization as well. Right? His name, J. Walton L. Grand Sheik. He's with Jeffrey. All right, this is what he's elected. This is Jeffrey Zell, he's the Grand Sheik at Temple 23, and he basically was sent a letter by J. Walton L. I'm glad to write you a few lines to you under the love, truth, peace, freedom, justice administered in the government since 1928. You have been told you have to pay revenue to the temple. It is not so. There is a filing fees come from Grand Body. There is no leader for the Morse Science Temple America. I was elected Grand Sheik and president for the Morse Science Temple America December 8th, 1936, by the Grand Body and established in the government. The object for which it is formed is to uplift the fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make men and women become better citizens. Therefore, it is very necessary for you to know that I am the leader for the Morse Science Temple America all over America. If you don't believe me, write to Springfield, Illinois, Edward J. Hughes, and ask the Secretary of State, and then who is in charge of the War Science of America. And he will write and tell you, then you won't have to be thinking and guessing. Dear brothers and sisters, think on your way. Read chapter 47 of the Morse Holy Quran. Start at 13th verse and see have you been complying with the laws of the prophet? Read your constitution. Think on your ways. Questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the prophet of Ugrali. Act 1. I told you, Brother Crumbly Bay, that he may go and tell all he know and about me in my work. I would like for all of you, grand chiefs and grand governors, to get in touch with me. If not, you will have trouble in the government. Peace. J. Walton L. J. Walton L was trying to let people know, hey, I'm in charge now. There is, I want to show where in the Writers Project, I think I might have skipped it for the sake of time. So y'all know that basically also looking into that sister, here you go. That's what I did. I'm not skipping. All right. So this is the Owl Theater group. They say what they'll call, but it's J Wall now. It's the temple. They're basically meeting at a place on the Owl Theater. All right. So Morsham Science Temple America, located in 44th, the Willis Holland Bay. That's what's Holland Bay. What the one with the here you go. The one rightfully appointed in the sheet is trying to find where has Sister Gilead. She's actually there under J Wall now. And she actually joins us. She's actually with him as a member. Brandon Babel, Kiki Head, always up on. Next in order is Mrs. McMealy. Yeah, it was really Mealy. A stout woman, medium height, dark brown in color, wearing eyeglasses that keeps one from being able to see the color of her eyes really clearly. Her activities are limited. She listens very attentively to all the activities of the meeting. Um, Basically, she's not, like I said, she's not, but this is proof that this is Jay Brandon Bag. He's a member. Next in order to the grand. Let me pull this thing. Old Ali's education, second year in high school. Next in order is the grand sheet of Third Heaven, J. Brandon Bay, financial secretary of this or other organization. Basically, they're describing the people, but this actually is, if I can find it, I might not have put it on the list, but I'll find it. I guess I gotta beef this up a little bit, but it is definitely written, recorded by them. That sister, now this part right here is after J. Walt. Now this is Harlem Bay. They say Holland, but it's Harlem Bay, and this is where Andrew Jackson Bay, basically all original members, all together. Sister Melia is Bailey Hill's grandmother, blood grandmother, right, and the wife of. So she's basically in the mix. She's there. I can find the. Stop this. Time. um, I went over a little bit, a lot. I'm supposed to end at 10. I know you guys are tired. Stop sharing. I apologize if I went over. Um, but we have that was what I showed at the convention. Um, I didn't want to go too much into details of the court case with Turner L. And basically, to sum it up, there was simultaneous court cases. Jay Warnell was being sued by Kurtman Bay. Kurtman Bay wasn't just suing him; he was suing everybody. Kurtman Bay was trying to sue everybody. He only got an injunction on Jay Warnell. At the same time, Jay Warnell was suing F. Turner L. in New York. He's suing him. Premises is basically saying that you got people paying you money, and you're not a temple, authorized temple. I'm the leader, and finances need to go to the treasury here. So the judge, he was aware of the court case with Kurtman Bay, and he was like, "Yo, we're gonna hold out on the court case. All right, we're gonna hold out because we want to get the results of what's going on between Kurtman Bay and this J Wall now. On the results of that, we'll render a decision off of the results of that. Right now, in the Federal Riders Project, the writer says, in his own words, that J. Walt Nell defeated Kurt McBain on the court case. Okay, now just because someone puts an injunction on you doesn't mean they win. They mean they just did it in a strategy. They got one up on you, right? And this is when, because Aaron Payne was a bad dude, like on the courtroom. He was, he represented Nat King Cole, some prominent people in court. So he was nothing to play with. So, of course he probably whooped up on Kurtman Bay because not only, you're talking about he's an attorney, but he sat on the council as a Supreme Grand Business Manager. So you knew he knew his stuff. So prayerfully, not prayerfully, I'll say, but I would say for the most part, we have some written outside third party evidence showing the connection of who we are and our legitimacy to the title as the Moore Science of the Ground. Because we have records in our own possession that connects the dots to the Federal Riders Project. So that's why I say the Federal Riders Project is within their opinion and their perspective, but because they're still on the outside. Whereas like someone like myself, Springer Sheet, we've seen the records, we went through certain records. We haven't even gone through all of them. You know what I'm saying? There's still more. Like I said earlier, when we make another trip to Chicago, inshallah, we'll see if I can take some time to spend some time in Toledo. You know what I'm saying? Have a discussion with the sheik and go through some records while we're in Chicago. You know, so but for the most part, that was the presentation I presented. It wasn't. I want to keep you guys long, so it's past 11. Um, uh, I'm gonna stop recording here.